Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Weekend Eve. This is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. 816-599-6893 is the phone number. Give us a call, speak your piece, or if you have any questions you want to ask us, call us in and do that through the show. Coach 24, Darwin Penny, my brother with another mother, is not here tonight. He is taking care of personal business with his father-in-law from what he had said last week. So he is taking care of business with all that. And so behind the scenes, running the show, DJ Scatter, George Walker. Mr. Walker, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, we're doing just fine on a good spring evening.
Absolutely. And I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice. We got a lot of sports we're going to discuss. First of all, though, as I was driving in to the studio, I was looking at Royals Stadium because the Royals had came back from a 3-game series with the Baltimore Orioles, and I was frustrated with their performance out there. They had an opportunity to sweep the Baltimore Orioles. They had them down in the ninth inning in Game 1 and in Game 3. And in Game 3, they were up 3-0 against one of the best pitchers in baseball, in Corbin Burnes, and they just could not seal the deal. And so, and I know Coach 24, you know, he's got a better hand on what's going on with that. But saying that, they're absolutely, you cannot afford to do this. Now, people are saying, well, it's only 6 games into the season. You know, they'll get better. No, they cannot afford to do this. Now, they took care of whatever they needed to do in the first game. They struggled a little bit, and then in the third game, they hit a whole lot of home runs, helped hit 5 home runs, actually, on Sunday, and they went 1-2. And so we were thinking if they just went 1-2 in Baltimore, then, yeah, I would look at it as a positive, but I don't now. The starting pitching ERA is 1.44. That is amazing. I mean, that is great. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is great. The pitchers have given the Royals the chances to win the ball game. In all the 6 games, they have either led, tied, or was down 1 run. So they were in the game all the way. And in Baltimore, they were winning in the 9th inning, in the first game, and the third game of the series, only to watch it blow. Now, Will Smith, yes, he's been to 3 straight World Series. That's great, but it doesn't do anything for us. His ERA right now, and I'm going to make sure that I got it right. I don't want to be wrong with this. His ERA is oh, well, we're doing pitching. So here we go. His ERA is 20.25. I had 20.20. So 20.25. James MacArthur is 12.00. Anderson is 13.50. Now, you've got the starting pitchers. You have Waka. He gave up 3 runs in the first game. Has a 5.40 ERA. That is the lowest on the starting staff. Because here is the others. Cole Reagans, he's pitched 2 games. He has 12 innings. He has given up 2 earned runs, 6 hits. He's given up a home run, which he did in the beginning of the first game against Minnesota. He has walked 5. He's struck out 16. But his ERA is 1.46. He shut out Baltimore yesterday. Shut him out. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he pitched 6 innings. So he had a quality start. Brady Singer had to come in on Sunday. Yes, the Royals scored 11 runs. And last year, he was begging for run support. At least he got it this year. He is 0.00. He shut out the Minnesota Twins in 7 innings pitched. Then you've got Marsh. He was 1.29, and I believe he pitched. I believe it was the first game of the Baltimore series, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. No, it was the second game. It was not yesterday's game, but the Tuesday night game. And then you got Lugo, who came in from San Diego, and along with Waka. His ERA is 0.00. The starting pitching for the Royals is 1.44. The pitching for the relievers is 8.40. You can, or 8.04. My mistake. But it is 8.40. My apologies. But you can't afford to lose games. You can't afford to have pitchers giving up leads like that. And to a point, you got to have the hitting. Yes, they scored 3 runs yesterday. Yes, we were up 3-0. But then after we were done, after the 7th inning, we didn't do anything. We have to continue on getting better. Yes, I know it's 6 games into the season, but I am frustrated. I don't want to go, well, okay, let's give them a break. No, they can't afford to go 10 games under 500 after the first month. And right now, even though they're 2-4, and it's not as bad, they are having a 4-game series with the Chicago White Sox. They have to win 3 out of 4. No ifs, ands, or buts. They have to win 3 out of 4. Even if you split, I'm not accepting it. I'm not accepting it, because then you would say, well, if they only win 1 out of 4, then that's okay too. No, that's not okay. And the White Sox are below them right now in the AL Central. Saying this is the time for the Royals to take advantage of this. You know, if the White Sox are not playing well, we've got to take full advantage of this, or I should say the Royals need to take full advantage of this. And they don't right now. Heck, we've got on Tuesday, we had our first, Major League Baseball had their first no-hitter of the season. You had Ronel Blanco from the Houston Astros threw a no-no against the Toronto Blue Jays. And it was awesome. I mean, Houston just was totally just loving this. He it was the earliest no hitter in Major League Baseball history. Best in the April Fool's gym, besting Hadiel Nomo's 2001 no hitter for Boston by 3 days. So, but saying that, we also started baseball a little bit sooner than we did in 2001. We were always starting at the 1st of April. Now we're starting at the last week in March. So, but that is awesome. You know, I love seeing that. It was 10-0, and so this guy came in and he just threw lights out. Saying this, I'm not saying that the Royals need to throw shutouts or no hitters or anything like this, but the the starting pitching has given the Royals the chance to get in or to be in the game and to win these games. Now batting, you've got Hunter Renfroe, who came in the offseason. He is batting .053. That you cannot do that. You're a veteran. You need to perform better than that. Now you've got Vinny Pasquantino. He is batting .143 right now. So he's actually batting better than Hunter Renfroe. And I'm giving him a pass only on the base that he was out most of last year. So I'm giving him a little bit of time. Now Melendez, he's batting .294. You have Adam Frazier. He's only batting .200. You have Lofton. He's batting .250. But you've got Mikel Garcia batting .280. He has already 7 RBIs, which is one of the leaders in baseball right now. But here's the issue with them. They have, in 206 at-bats, they have struck out 51 times. So they're striking out 1 out of every 4 times that they go up to the plate. Salvia is batting .375. Garcia is batting .280. Bobby Witt Jr. Is batting .400. His stats are near the top, if not the best in baseball right now. 25 at bats, 10 hits, 6 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. In fact, he was a double away from a cycle, hitting for the cycle in the game Sunday against Minnesota. So he is doing well. Now the only thing he needs to work on is strikeouts, not striking out as much. He has 8 strikeouts in 25 at bats. So that part he needs to work on a little bit. But saying that, tonight they are facing the White Sox, and they need 3 out of 4 from the White Sox, because then, if that's the case, then they will be 500. And the last time that the Royals were 500 or better in a season was 2022. They started last year behind the 8 ball. They didn't win any games to start. They have not started. Then they just continuously got worse. They won 56 games. And I was on Facebook a little bit, and there was people that were talking about, the Royals pitching and how they blew last night's game. And I said, if they keep this up, they can lose another 106 games. And somebody goes, well, no, they're not that bad. They will be better. I don't know that. I'm from the show me state. They're going to have to start showing me. And right now they're 2-4. They're playing 33% baseball. They need to get better. So I am done. I am done talking about the Royals. I'm hoping the Royals will will get their act together, and this weekend show up, win some games, get those fans excited, and show them, hey, we are for real, and we're definitely going to show you. So now we go to the NCAA. And so there's a lot of times you always say there's a first time for everything. Well, this time there was a first time for everything. The Final Four, the men's and women's. The women's is in Cleveland, Ohio, and the men's is in Phoenix, Arizona. For the first time ever, now, saying this, there was 13 schools that had both men's and women's playing in the Final Four. There has only been 2 times that both schools, the men's and women's, have won the Final Four, won the championship, and that was 2004 and 2014 UConn men and women's teams. This year, there are 2 teams that have their women's and their men's, and that is UConn. UConn women is the 3rd seed, and UConn men is the defending champs, and they are the overall number 1 seed. So, and UConn men is favored to go back to back. Now, if that happens, it'll be the first time in almost 20 years that we've had a back-to-back champion in men's NCAA tournament. Obviously, the women in 14 from 13 through 16 won it 4 straight years. Now, the other schools that have done it, UConn has done it 5 times. They've had the most. They did it in 2004, 2009, 2011, 2014, and this year, 2024. You also have NC State, obviously. Then you have LSU in 2006. You have Michigan State 2005. And I believe that was the team with Mative Cleaves. You have Texas with Travis Ford. You had Oklahoma in 2002. You had Duke in 99. And the first ones were the Georgia Bulldogs in 1983. Now, I remember that one very well. And in 1983, Georgia had played North Carolina State in one of the semis, and the other 2 was Louisville, who at that time in 1980 through 1986 had been to 3 Final Fours, winning it in 1980, and then they lost, obviously, in the semis to the Houston Cougars, and then they turned around and won it back again in 1986. And I believe they beat Duke, because Duke beat Kansas and Louisville beat LSU, who was the lowest seed to make it to the Final Four. Only tying, well, there's been several other teams. There's been Virginia Commonwealth, George Mason, and North Carolina State this year. So if North Carolina State can somehow get past Purdue, which has been playing very well, and Zach Edney has been just lighting it up. He had a double-double, and arguably he was the MVP of the regional he was in. If North Carolina State can get past them, then they would have to play the winner of the UConn-Alabama game. And Alabama, congratulations to them, made their first men's Final Four ever. So congratulations to them. So UConn is the number 1 seed. And DJ Burns of NC State was just amazing, because here is the thing. They when they went to the ACC tournament, the only way that they could make it to the tournament, to the big show, to big dance, was to win 5 games. So they had to play the lowest games, lowest seed games, and kept playing those before they even played teams like Duke and North Carolina. And they did. They played 5 games in 5 days and turned around and won all 5 games, and then beaten Duke and North Carolina, and I believe I want to say Virginia. So if correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys are hearing this and you saying that I am wrong, call in 816-599-6893 and let me know that I was either correct or incorrect. Saying this, they've also came in here and they have won 4 games in the tournament. They are 2 games away from winning the championship. So that is if they could do that, that's an impressive 11 straight games for the North Carolina State Wolfpacks. Now, the last time that North Carolina State had been to the Final Four was in 1983, and I remember that game. I remember watching that game because I was a big Houston Cougars fan. You had Larry Mishaw, you had Clyde Drexler, you had Akeem. Now, after he went into the NBA, he changed it to Hakeem. He added the H in front of Elijah or in front of Akeem. So you had them, and they were the Phi Slamma Jamma because they were slamming and jamming all day long. And North Carolina State was 11th seed that day, and Jim Valvano was, they beat Georgia, but Houston beat a great Louisville team. So they had one of the biggest lines. I mean, Houston was heavily favored. And in that game, it went down to the last play where Derek Wittenberg took a 30-foot shot, and I mean he tried to look like Steph Curry before Steph Curry, but it didn't go as well. But Lorenzo Charles took the shot that he shot up, grabbed it, slammed it down, and with no time left, and that ended the game. And so Jim Valvano was running around the court. I mean, you've seen the replays over and over, but I remember watching it live, watching him run around like he didn't know how to react. I mean, he was just so excited. And here was the ironic thing too. Phi Slamma Jamma got out-slammed by North Carolina State 2-1. That was only the 3rd slam dunk of the game, and it ended giving the Wolfpacks their 2nd NCAA title. Now the other one was in I want to say 1974 with maybe it's 72, but it was with David Thompson playing for the Wolfpack, and they ended up beating UCLA and John Wooden's team. So that was amazing. Now, Purdue, though, the last time that they made it to the NCAA Final Four was in 1980. That was the year after Larry Bird and Magic Johnson's awesome performance in the finals, which is still the most viewed NCAA final basketball game of all time. And Purdue ended up losing to UCLA, and then UCLA ended up losing to Louisville, which gave Denny Crum his first title for the Louisville Cardinals. And then, like I said, he coached a couple more teams to the Final Four, and then winning again with Purvis Never Nervous Ellison, and I always remember that too. So, and they ended up beating Duke, which actually Duke, that was their first Final Four that they had ever gone to. So I got you some good trivia there. Now, for the men's, I, I would really love to see North Carolina win this, but I really believe that Purdue has a better, excuse me, has a better team. And even though North Carolina State has a lot of mojo and a lot of juju going on with them, I think Purdue is still remembering last year's loss in the first round as a number one seed, and they are going to make sure that they take care of business. So I got Purdue beating North Carolina State. And in the other game, even though Alabama has been playing very well, UConn has been a really, really good team all year long, and they've been roughly in the top 5 all year, and they are the defending champs. And just like the Chiefs in this year too, that they were the team to beat because they were still the defending champs. So I've got Purdue and UConn playing Monday night, and I'm going to say Purdue is going to beat UConn. I think Edney is going to have the game of his life in order to defeat the UConn Huskies. But saying that, I think it's going to be a great game. Now, saying this, I am going to say this right now. I'm going to predict this, that the women's Final Four are going to get more viewers and higher rating than the men's, because Iowa played LSU, and that was a phenomenal game. And so I'm going to bring this up in a moment, because we are at halftime on any given Sunday on KUAW. Coach 24, Darwin Penny, DJ Scatter, George Walker, and myself, the awesome voice, Brian Kress. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I will talk about the women's Final Four and how that's going to go too. So you are listening to KUAW. All right, we're back for the second half of Any Given Sunday on KUAW. Coach 24 Darwin Penny is not here tonight, but he is always in our hearts and in our thoughts. Coach 20 or DJ Scatter George Walker is running the show behind the scenes, and I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice. And yes, Cardis, it's Eddie. So Edie, or it's Edie or something like that. Edey. Yes, I do know how to spell his name, but I keep saying Edney. And ironically, there was an Edney. There was a Tyus Edney for UCLA in 1995, which still kills Missouri fans just hearing that name. But saying that, thank you, Cardis, for giving us your input. You should call in, though. 816-599-8693 is the phone number. So anyway, we were talking about the women's basketball because we were talking about the men's Final Four, and I have Purdue beating UConn in the Final Four. I have them winning to go to the championship game, and I have Purdue winning the championship. Now, you have four really good teams in the women's. You have UConn, you have Iowa, you have North Carolina State, and you have South Carolina. Now they're the undefeated and number one ranked team in the nation. Now, saying that, Don Staley, the head coach of South Carolina, is coach of the year, or it's AP coach of the year. Caitlin Clark has won virtually every award that is available for this year. Now, saying this, that game, Iowa versus LSU versus Iowa. There we go. It took me a second to get it going. But that game Monday night was the most watched women's basketball game of all time. They had 12.3 million viewers. It was also one of the largest ESPN sports games ever, I believe on ESPN ever. And so that game was an amazing game. You had Angel Reese, you had Caitlin Clark, and it was a great game. Now, Caitlin Clark had just played her lights out. She scored 19 points in the first half and then ended up with 41 points, and I believe that's her third 40-point game in the tournament, which is also a women's record. Now, Angel Reese had 14 points in the first half, but then she had 10 points in the first half. But at 8 minutes and 1 second left in the second quarter, she blocked Caitlin Clark's shot, and then she sprawled into the back of the rim, or the back where the backboard, the brace that holds the rim up, and injured her ankle. And from then on, she was never the same. She, in fact, actually, I believe at halftime, she had 13 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 block shots, or 3 assists. My apologies. Caitlin Clark was 19 points and 5 assists. Nope, I was right. I was right. Reese, Angel Reese had only 10 points and 6 rebounds, but and LSU was up 34-29. Now Iowa ended up tying them at 45 at halftime, and from the second half, never relinquished the lead, and Iowa ended up winning, and it just totally just devastated Angel Reese, because I know she was wanting to go back to back, but it was a great game. And by the viewing of the of the fans, you know, this game with Iowa and UConn, I think is even going to be better because you've got Paige Beckers, who is the star of UConn Huskies, against Caitlin Clark, and the winner will have to go. Will end up playing in the national championship, which they will play Sunday night. Now, Friday night are the games, are the semifinal games, and then on Sunday they will have the championship games, whereas the men's will play theirs on Saturday and then have the championship on Monday. Now, Beckers has been playing lights out. And here was a stat that I found out coming into tonight. Beckers has played 40 minutes in the last 3 games. So she has played every minute, every second. She has not had a break in those 3 games because UConn has had a lot of injuries. So they have been playing, as you would say, not 100%. But their heart of a champion, and you have to give it to Gino Ariama. And I am not a big fan of his because I know all the rivalries with him and Pat Summitt, and I was a huge Pat Summitt fan. I mean, extremely huge Pat Summitt fan. And but I have to give him credit. They have not won a championship since 2016. In fact, actually, they've been kind of the last few years haven't really been on the map, and has allowed other teams to show up and show what they are made of. Saying this is going to be a key game. Now, how healthy is UConn? You've got Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark wanted to go to UConn, but they recruited Paige Beckers over Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark ended up having to go to Iowa because of the fact that Paige Beckers was there, or ended up going there. Now, they have the first matchup between UConn and Iowa was in 2021, and it was UConn won 92-72, and Beckers had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers. Oh no, correction, that was Clark's stats. She had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers. And Beckers had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and only 2 turnovers for Beckers as their team beat the Iowa team. So this will be the second game, and it'll be the last one because Caitlin Clark will be going into the WNBA. So I'm thinking this is going to be one phenomenal game, and I'm hoping that it's the second game. But I imagine they'll probably put it in the prime time spot so everybody can watch it. And I am definitely looking forward to it. Now, you've got North Carolina State and South Carolina. And South Carolina is just a machine. And they have just been rolling through everybody. Yes, it did take a 3-point shot at the buzzer at the SEC tournament against Tennessee for South Carolina to continue on being undefeated. And eventually it ended up costing Kelly Harper her job at Tennessee. So they will be looking for a new head coach. But saying that, the winner of the UConn-Iowa game will be facing, and I'm saying they're facing South Carolina. I am not. I mean, UConn or the Wolfpack is the 3rd seed, which is pretty good, but not for South Carolina. And they would love to have Iowa because Iowa was the team that beat South Carolina last year to keep them from winning their national title in the semifinals. So with this, I'm going to pick South Carolina to play I'm going to say Iowa. It's going to be Iowa and South Carolina, so it'll be the repeat of the semifinals of last year's, and it will be for the championship. Now, I don't know how many teams have had the number one leading scorer in the nation win a championship. I will check that out and have that ready for next week when we get back and do a show again on next Thursday. So I'm checking that out. But saying this, I'm going to say South Carolina is going to deny Caitlin Clark and her bid of getting a national title to Iowa. Now, saying this, Iowa has only been to 3 Final Fours. They were there last year, they were there this year, and then they were there in 1993, which they did not win. I believe they ended up losing to Tennessee. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, but this is going to be a great basketball weekend, and to be honest, with the Chiefs playing football, I didn't pay attention to it much, but I have been paying attention to it in the NCAAs. And, you know, this is why I love the NCAA, because for the men's, the 11th seed, North Carolina State, really had no business being there. But every team gets that opportunity. And if you win your tournament, you are in. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Indiana State won, but they didn't get in. I can't answer that, but I believe they ended up winning the NIT tournament. So that was impressive for Indiana State. So Indiana State, congratulations on that. But the fact was, NC State had to win 5 games in 5 days in order to get in. And they did it, and that is the beauty of it. It's not like the Chiefs, you know, where if you are, you know, you're struggling. If you have a losing record, more than likely you're not going to be in the playoffs. But in basketball, you can have a subpar season, and then show up at the right time at the end of the season and win what you need to win to get in. And to me, that's just amazing part. So I've got enough of basketball, and I've given you enough of basketball. Now let's go to the NFL. So we did not talk last week about L'Jarius Sneed's trade. He got traded to Tennessee. Tennessee then turned around and gave him a 4-year contract, which I believe was for $76 million. And he got $20 million. He got $51 million guaranteed, and I believe he either got $20 or $25 million for a signing bonus. So he just got a check for $20 million or $25 million. So God bless America for that. So, but yeah, did the Chiefs want him? Absolutely. But, you know, they have gotten, you know, the Chiefs have gotten rid of players, and, you know, they got rid of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill wanted a big paycheck, and they were going to give him one, but it wasn't big enough for him. And he's like, you know, so Chiefs said, okay, we'll get rid of you. And yes, the offense has not been as vaunted as it was with Tyreek Hill. But all we have done is win 2 championships. Or I shouldn't say we, the Chiefs, all they have done is win two Super Bowls, 2 championships. Plain and simple. They did what they had to do. Now, losing L'Jarius Sneed, they have had, the Chiefs have had a great ability to draft players, and especially cornerbacks. They've had Charvarius Ward. We've drafted Trent McDuffie. We drafted Sneed. We have Justin Watson, or not Justin Watson. I can't think of his name right offhand, but Watson, who is the defensive back who made that interception at the goal line against the Chargers 2 seasons ago and took it back for a pick six. I mean, they have done a great job. Now, at some time, there could be a chance where they don't get or they don't draft as well as they should. But right now, I'm having full faith in them, and with that, I think that we will do just fine without L'Jarius Sneed. Now, could we have used him? Absolutely, but we have been able to draft people, and we're going to get the team even younger, and so we're also going to try to get some offensive line. We're going to get a wide receiver because, unfortunately, this past weekend, Rashid Rice decided to take a Lamborghini out and leased it out and had a Corvette and let one of his buddies drive it around, and they were flying around and caused some accidents. And then he compounded the problem by leaving the scene of the accident. So he is in some trouble right now. But as long as he stays honest and says exactly what happened and gives them all the information, he will not end up like a Kareem Hunt. Now, saying this, my best friend had a Lamborghini, and I'm telling you what, you cannot drive on the highways, whether it's a small highway with no cars at all or one with a whole bunch of cars on it. You put your foot down on that gas pedal, and I'm telling you what, I was riding in it, and I snapped my head snapped back. I was like, oh my gosh, this thing was really flying, and it was even to a point I was a little nervous. I mean, if you're not a pro race driver, you know, it's just, I'm telling you, you can go. And so for him to do that, he should have known how, you know, what the ramifications were. But, you know, he's young, and I'm not giving him any excuses. But, you know, sometimes you just want to drive fast. I mean, I have driven fast when I was younger. I drove my best friend's Camaro. I went 120 miles an hour on 291 highway right by 39th Street. I still remember this. I was this was like in 86, 87. And oh my God, I was flying, and even my best friend was like, slow down. And you know, it was awesome. But at the same time, I was like, okay, all right, I did it once. I got away with it. I didn't hurt nobody. Nobody got in no accident, anything. So we were fortunate. Now, saying this, there was no deaths. That was amazing. That was awesome. There was a few wrecks. There was some injuries, but there was nothing that were massive. And maybe later on we'll find out how bad somebody got hurt or something. But as far as we know, nobody was life-lighted. Nobody was severely hurt, but it could have been a lot worse. And so thank goodness for that. And, you know, we'll just have to keep checking it out and seeing what will happen to Rashid Rice. But saying that, we're going to have to draft some more wide receivers because we need to build up that offense the way it was before Tyreek Hill left. And then the Houston Texans 2 years ago was the laughingstock of the NFL. They were the worst team. They were the worst ran team. They were the worst performing team. They were the worst in everything. They just traded for Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs is a phenomenal wide receiver. And I'm telling you what, they have done a massive 180. And I'm saying right now, the Texans are the team that the Chiefs should worry about the most. Now, I know that they're not going to worry about anybody because the one that they really worried about was Cincinnati, and they didn't do nothing this year. They played Baltimore, and they did nothing, nothing this year. And what I'm saying by doing nothing is that they didn't beat Kansas City. Kansas City took care of business. Now, we're going to find out how good this Houston Texans team is going to be. They were in the playoffs. They shut down Cleveland in the first round. They played very well against Baltimore for one half of football. If they would have continued that for the second half, who knows? But Baltimore ended up winning. But they are still young. They are still growing. The ownership has improved immensely. The leadership, the coaching, and even players. You've got young players. You've got C.J. Stroud that is playing. He's playing on a rookie contract. This is his second year. You've got him for 3 or 4 more years on a rookie contract. He is just gonna, they've got all the upside. And then to bring in Stephon Diggs, and then what they did was they tore his last 3 or 4 years on his contract because he was starting the new contract that Buffalo, when they signed him, they had him, and then they gave him an extension. Well, this extension started this year. They tore it out. They gave him a raise. I think they gave him roughly almost $4 million of a raise, which gave him, I think, $23 million for this year. It is all guaranteed. He may even have some bonuses, but it's all guaranteed. And all he has to do is just show up this year, be the number 1 wide receiver, and make it even better for C.J. Stroud. Saying this, if Texans do not win or they do not succeed in what they're planning, because they're planning on wanting to win the Super Bowl, I'm going to put it completely on Stephon Diggs, because this is now his 3rd team. He kind of ruffled up Minnesota. They traded him. He ruffled up Buffalo. They traded him. And I know that Houston wanted him and got rid of him, or picked him up in a trade. Buffalo is only getting a 2nd-round draft pick for next year. So they are getting no compensation for this year for Stephon Diggs. That should tell you something. I mean, the Chiefs got more for L'Jarius Sneed than they did for Stephon Diggs. So this is going to be huge for the Houston Texans. And with a quarterback that's on a rookie salary, they have everything going for him, and it's running well for him, very well for him. So, and with that, I'm going to tell you right now, Buffalo is done. They're going to have to rehaul their team. They should trade Josh Allen. Trade him to New York Giants. Trade him to a team that is going to draft. You trade him to Washington, but with this, their team is not going to be that good. They're not going to be a contender this year. They are just done. Their door for making the Super Bowl with this team that they had is shut. They shut it. They locked it. They bolted it. They did everything. So, so with that, now we are near the end of Any Given Sunday on KUAW, and I just want to talk about the question 1, the voting, and I will give the voters, the people of Kansas City or Jackson County, I'll give them their props. They did not like what they saw. They made a statement. They made a loud statement. Now, people are going, well, they're going to take off and leave. Well, Coach 24 last week just told you. Now, if nobody has heard this, heard what he said, get back on KUAW, go back to last week and watch the show and listen to every word he said. He makes total sense. And when it comes to baseball, I trust him more than I will trust any announcer or anybody. But saying that, the fans, I kept trying to say, let's vote yes. Let's do this. But when I do this show, I have to prepare. I can't just walk in and just start talking, even though Cardis Rogers thinks that that's all I do. So, so that, and it's all good. And Cardis gives me a hard time, but I love him. He's my brother. And, but saying that, I have to come in with a plan. And the Chiefs and the Royals did not really have a plan. They stalled. It's like a college kid or a student getting ready to take a test, and they did not study. And then they're an hour away from taking a test, and now they're going to try to go through the book and memorize it and learn all the notes and then try to pass the test. The Royals did not pass. The Chiefs did not pass. They need to do a better job of what they're wanting and to give the Chiefs fans. If they would have said, okay, this is what's going on, and did step by step of what we would like to do, this is our plan, I think we would have had a better chance. But the voters said, no way, you're not going to do this to us, and they spoke out loudly, and because of the, I know U.S. has not been as great of a country as we have been, but this democracy of voting is great. It is amazing. So, and the fans or the voters said, we're not going to. We made our choices, and I've talked with friends, and they are very intelligent people, and even though I was trying to give them my input, they knew what was going on. And so I just think that the Chiefs and the Royals just need to go back and come up and say, okay, let's plan this a little better instead of just whipping it up at the last second and expect it to come out perfect. And so with that, we are at the end of Any Given Sunday on KUAW. My brother with another mother, Coach 24, Darwin Penny. We've got DJ Scatter, George Walker, and I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a phenomenal sports, especially NCAA women's and men's Final Four weekend.